community-driven project with contributors globally. It offers many new powerful features for artists, content creators, and event organizers and token owners. Tokel is building the future of tokenization together with the help of Komodo Technologies. Creators and users have the freedom to create, to hold, buy, sell, and trade tokens with ease. Developers have the freedom to build on top of the platform's layer. Tokel has features such as simplified token creation tools, token decks, and NFT marketplace. The NFT creation process has an extremely low barrier to entry. Businesses and individuals can now benefit from the token economy by using tokens in everyday life. A built-in decentralized exchange enables peer-to-peer trading. Tokel.io, the future of tokenization to NFT and beyond.
Greetings, I'm Giuliano, and today is a special Tuesday. It's the 22nd day of the second month of the year, 2022. Welcome to Tokel Talk. In today's episode, we'll be talking with developers and artists to learn more about this booming world of NFTs and tokens. So we are pleased to welcome Faith West of Pop Legends to the show. And we are also pleased to welcome Ramonster, an artist for Komodo community. And we have as well with us CA333, Karen Stadelman, the CTO of Komodo Platform. And of course, I'm Giuliano. We have Dream Tim here with us. We have Nutella Lika from the Tokel Platform. And so, before we get started with today's discussion, if you want to be a guest on the show in future, you can visit the website, tokel.io/Tokel Talk. You just scroll down and you can fill in the form to join Tokel Talk as a guest. Now, before our guests introduce themselves, here is Dream Tim. We're going to get some NFT stats. Hello, Dream Tim.
Hello there. Nice to be here again. So here's some quick stats from the world of NFTs this week. So we had 135,000 sales this week of NFTs. A total of 353 million were spent. Decentraland led the sales again with a plot for $938,000. 3 Bored Apes were sold for the combined value of $1.2 million, and 2 CryptoPunks were sold for the combined value of $700,000. Now, the top and most up-and-coming collections have been Threelanders, NFT Worlds, MFers, Azuki, and the Tubby Cats. The biggest sort of talking point of the week is that the OpenSea confirmed that a hacker stole NFTs worth 1.25 million from 32 users. So according to the blockchain analysis company PeckShield, at least 254 non-fungible tokens were stolen as a result of an unknown attack. That's the NFT news this week.
Wow, thank you very much, Dream Tim. That's quite some dramatic news, really. And I think it's just interesting to see how week to week things are moving forward. And with this show today on our Tokel Talk, we're going to be talking with a bit of a variety here. We have, for example, CA333, technical background. We have Ramonster, we have Faith West, artistic background. And so I'm hoping that we can bring that together and come to some collective understanding for everybody involved. Feels like two sides of the same coin in some sense. So I think first, though, before we do that, we would like to get a bit of an introduction to our guests. Let's start with CA333. Kedan Stadelman, welcome to the show.
Hi, Giuliano. Hey.
Hi.
Guys. Hi, girls. Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me. Thank you.
We're so pleased to have you. Thank you for being here. Maybe we can get a bit of a brief background from you? Just tell the audience who you are.
So I'm
some
heading
highlights.
up
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'm heading up the tech at the Komodo platform and atomicdex.org. So my background is, as already aforementioned, like pretty much like tech, cybersecurity. That's like where I'm coming from. I have a pure technical background, and yeah, looking forward to this conversation, to this talk.
Very good. Thank you so much for being here. And we also have Ramonster, who is joining us as well. So Ramonster, can you give us a little bit of a brief background of yourself as well?
Yeah, so I've been a concept artist, creating art for games for about 15 years professionally. And now I kind of found my way in at Komodo and really having a blast there. And yeah, so I'm just freelancing and having a good time. But
very nice.
Yeah,
Yep,
so I'm basically an artist, yeah, painter.
Very nice. Yeah, you've done some familiar art to people who are familiar with the Komodo platform. And okay, so we're having a little bit of technical difficulty here getting Faith West up on stage. I just want to introduce as well Natalica. Hello, Natala. How's it going?
Hey, thank you very much. It's going well. I haven't been on for a couple now, so it's good to come back and be able to spread the education and the information to the community and the wider audience. So looking forward to pulling apart NFTs and tokens and discussing use cases and differences and stuff with everyone here.
Perfect. We really appreciate that. Thanks for being here. So I guess what we'd like to know first is what draws you into NFTs. I'm very curious. For example, the artists, what draws you into NFTs, as well as developers. For example, CA333. As a developer, are you drawn into NFTs? And if so, what draws you in?
I mean, that's a really super interesting question, right? As a developer, and basically being someone who's really coming from a pure tech background, and actually should be looking at this from a tech perspective. I think my personal interest is really less like the technological basis, right? The technological perspective, on NFTs, but I think it's really more like this general socioeconomical aspect, right? In particular, maybe even this kind of almost cultural power like this technology has, right? And if someone from this OG crypto club and really always aiming for this wider crypto and blockchain tech, right? Just in general, the trustless tech space mainstream adoption is something we all been talking about, put it quote unquote, this mainstream adoption, and then realizing that NFTs seem to be something with the power to cause this kind of mainstream adoption shift. I mean, that's super exciting, very interesting, from a psychological, general, social, and specifically, socioeconomic aspect. It's really super interesting, to me personally. So, I mean, from a tech perspective, we all know, right? There's different various ways in technology stacks, right, to represent unique digital items, right, on this technology basis. But that's for me less interesting, right? I think it's from a tech perspective, it's just ordinary tech, right? Ordinary blockchain technology. But if you look at it from these non-technical perspectives, yes, to answer your question and sum it up, that's the really exciting part for me.
Thank you. And a really exciting part for me right now is that we have also Faith West here. Faith,
yes.
I'm so glad you made it up. And my heart was beating. I'm sure yours was too, a little faster,
yes.
But now I'm a little calmer. So please, Faith West, introduce yourself as well. You're here representing Pop Legends, and just tell us a bit about your background. And yeah, we'd love to hear a bit more about that, please.
Yes. Well, I've been a professional photographer for 20 years. And one of the first things that I did that actually got me interested in photography was in 1991. I was friends with a small little club owner and saw Nirvana in front of 150 people before they were famous. And he allowed me up on the bar so I could shoot pictures above the heads of the crowd. And, it's hard to remember now, but back then, not everybody had a camera in their pocket. So I was the only one there that night taking pictures. And I've digitized those and minted them as NFT art. and am selling them on the Pop Legends website, which is actually just a gateway to Rarible.
Hmm. That's really cool.
That is really cool. So, I mean, you also mentioned that you're a bit of a business-minded person as well as an artist, and so from those perspectives, Faith, what draws you into NFTs?
Yes. Well, to keep at it and making a living for 20 years, you have to have, it's about 75% business, 25% art is about the mix, I would say. And NFTs are expanding in both areas and just caught my attention. So I hopped on board.
So I'm just curious, we're going to get into a bit of a technical side of things, and I think that'll be interesting. But before we do that, maybe I would like to just continue down this line and ask you if you've had to do a lot of research. What's the learning curve been like for you?
Well, it's probably the same learning curve that everyone on this talk is familiar with. The blockchain has its quirks, shall we say, and it can be frustrating at first. And because there's so few people in this space, there's not a wealth of information out there about how to mint, how to open your wallet, et cetera, et cetera. But I took a couple months away from my regular business to figure it out, and just so excited that it's been working for me, and it's been getting a lot of attention.
Very nice. You know, we're here for a roundtable type of discussion, and we have a variety of skills up here. So if you or anyone else has questions for anyone here on the stage, whether you want to ask Nutella a question about Tokel platform or CA333, Ramonster, and vice versa, you know, feel free, everyone, to just ask some questions around here.
Great, yeah, thank you. I think it's super interesting, you know, to hear this, you know, with the learning curve, like to see like the perception of someone who's not coming like from a pure technical background, and you know, basically having like to struggle to really get like properly into this, you know, like and I think this is like what a lot of platforms probably working on now is, you know, providing like super smooth, you know, like grandma friendly, you know, end user customer applications. I'd say like my personal experience with this was, you know, really, I guess like it really depends on what's the technology stack you're utilizing, where are you building up, right? What are you utilizing from a tech stack perspective? If it's like Ethereum, if it's like the wider known, you know, EVM based, you know, NFT environments and platforms, I think we reached like a stage where, you know, with like MetaMask, all these Web3 and Ether.js integrations, right? All these like web wallet, you know, plugins of, I'm sure everyone knows it, right? It got like kind of like smooth, like really like simple with all like the wider adopted markets, right? OpenSea, SolSea, etc. It's a matter of like clicking with your mouse to basically mint an NFT. If someone's gone basically, you know, down the rabbit hole and, you know, like installed, you know, like Hardhat or one of these like, you know, EVM clients and really like deployed an own, you know, ERC 721 or 1155 contract, that's of course like someone, you know, making his hands dirty. But I think thanks to Open Zeppelin, it's really a matter of copy pasting code and modifying, adapting it like to one's own needs, and just like, you know, dropping it, like creating it. And I think that's probably like the trend a lot of like platforms are following, is like to turn this experience that's just a matter of a couple of clicks, right? And just curious, you know, Pop Legends, if you can like, you know, elaborate a bit on it. Like, did this like change, you know, since the first time you created like an NFT? How's the process for you now, right? Once you're into it, is there, you know, a lot of like updates to keep up with? Do you keep refreshing your knowledge, or is it now basically as easy as my perception, you know, basically shows me it is right now?
Well, that's a great question. Thanks, CA. I mean, really, I do keep up with my knowledge, but as you say, it has gotten easier. However, anything that you know then feels easy after you know it. So there's a universe of people that still need to be brought on board. And that's what I was trying to do with my project. But I'll tell you, I spent a whole frustrating day trying to get around know your customer laws. I have to admit, I mean, that seems sort of simplistic now that we all know that there's no way to get around them. But I thought the average person isn't going to want to do all this. It's like opening a bank account just to buy an NFT. And I really think that that's something that going forward needs to be addressed if NFTs are to experience an even wider adoption, although obviously the space is exploding.
Awesome, great. Thanks for the response. Yeah, that's cool. That's really good to know. And yeah, we know there are like multiple parties, right? Including like the Tokel platform that's hosting this event. And I've seen a lot of platforms on Ethereum stack, on the Solana stack, Polygon stack, Cosmos, KMD, right, as a UTXO based chain, basically as a real coin, tech base is also utilizing the NFT, the token, standard like implementation. So I'm super confident that within a year like from now, there'll be like so many platforms that will turn this really a matter of just like clicking, right, and enabling artists to get on board like super fast. The aspect with like the KYC part and all like these annoying layers, that's something where I believe that our tech space, like our industry, needs like to really like catch up and get like the process integrated to become like a native part of the technology stack, right? Otherwise people build the applications, decentralized apps, but the legal framework is like totally missing, right? So I think that's probably like really the next big thing, like a lot of platforms gonna like focus on to turn this like as smooth and like seamless as possible.
Yeah, and also you're making me realize, but you're just making me realize also that I think that the NFT space will also bring in an incentive to figure out how to do legal things like ownership when it comes to physical objects, NFTs, what those NFTs represent, and that sort of thing. So I think it'll bring it forward. Mm-hmm.
And even the legal implications, right? NFTs with royalties possibly representing like a security token, right, on top of the utilized like token standard, etc. So you see, like from a legal perspective, this almost becomes like more complex than the technological aspect, right? As funny as this might sound, but that's like really the case. We have different jurisdictions, different legal situations, but a network that's permissionless, right? It doesn't know jurisdictional borders, etc. Right? So you see like I think like the length of the list of possibilities and potential use cases is probably like as long as the list of potential like obstacles and problems, right?
Okay,
there's definitely a lot of challenges.
Yeah, I mean, I live in the United States, and one of the things most people don't realize is that if you were following tax law, when you bought an NFT, you would report to the IRS how much money you had made on the underlying cryptocurrency before you purchased that NFT. So as a business person, I find that like really complex to figure out with my bookkeeper, and that's another problem that I think this industry faces going forward.
Yeah, and in Singapore, they even asked me where I took the money from in the first place to do the initial investment in order like to get into the crypto, right? So it's like a legal mess.
Yeah.
That's
to
an
go back to
interesting
one
experience.
of your points, CA, at Tokel, we're trying to make everything as usable and as accessible as possible, and we don't call it grandma friendly. We call it Dream Tim friendly. If Dream Tim can use it, then we're on the right track.
Awesome, great.
It's good to make fun of the marketing guy, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it makes for good marketing. Okay, wait, we need to take a step back though, because I think CA333, you have an ability to write definitions. You're getting pretty popular for that, and so. But jokes aside, I think you're a really good person to ask. You had mentioned coins. We've talked about tokens. Can you just give us what's the difference between coins and tokens? Like from a developer perspective, from a technical perspective, really is what I mean. What's the difference between coins and tokens?
You mean NFTs?
Sure. I mean,
well, we'll get to the NFTs. Yeah, we'll get there. But first,
I think from this like technological definitions perspective, you asked me, okay, what's the difference between coins and tokens? You asked, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So I think at the low level, right, at the fundamental level, the things we talk about are like, like similar in a certain perspective, maybe the same if we can agree that all coins are tokens, right? But like a lot of like token types aren't considered coins, according like to the technological definitions like of a coin, right? So we can really agree and say, okay, all coins are tokens at the end of the day, right? A fungible token, if we use the term tokens, and assume this is like a fungible token we're talking about, right? Because or let's take a very like simple and abstract like differentiation between these two, right? We know a coin, right? A coin, probably like Bitcoin, the most popular and famous like representation, right? Like of a coin, right? So we know it characterizes, being a coin by operating on its own blockchain, right? While we know that tokens, right? If we are talking about like non-fungible tokens or other specific like token types, utility tokens, with unique identifiers, security tokens, right, that also like identify the investors, the person that's liable for dividends, etc., or DeFi dens as we baptized it, then we can say that these operate on a coin specific like blockchain scheme, but not their own blockchain layer. A coin itself, so sorry, go ahead. You want to ask something?
Yeah. So just to clarify the understanding, the coin itself is the type of token that runs the blockchain or is involved in the consensus layer of the blockchain.
On a native level, yes. So basically like the native, fueling, entity, item or unit like within like a blockchain platform, blockchain protocol can be like considered like the coin, right? So if we look at it, I mean, a lot of people probably like refer to Ethereum as a token, while it per definition should be a coin, right? Should be named a coin. It has like these characteristics, right? Again, these are now like things, like or differentiations where some people might, find arguments or find certain factors that might even, apply to the two types, right? To coin as well as like an NFT, right? So I also believe, with this tech maturing, and evolving further, we'll see, hybrid forms. We'll see like this line, the border between like, coin, token, NFT differentiation, also with the increasing programmability of coins, right? That like imagine where you just like turn it like a unique, like apply a unique identifier to a coin, which per definition, runs on its own blockchain, etc., and so on. But then what's the definition? You know what I mean? So really going by like the current or like the traditional perspective on these technology stacks, I'd say yes, like right, token we can say right would utilize like an underlying like blockchain, right, will be built on top of it. Probably like a good example, or probably like the very first, let's take an historic aspect, historic reference was like the colored coins, right? I mean, that was really like the first type of like NFT of non-fungible tokens that we messed with, right? That we interacted with, and was like on Bitcoin, on the Bitcoin standard, right? I remember the rare peep, right? Like these meme NFTs that were also like built, I think, on the Bitcoin stack and with a counterparty protocol. So with this was like a very, very like early, version like of the NFTs, and that's like basically what brought like this idea, up.
Interesting. It's like that these things have they're beyond the technology, but they require the technology, but they are somehow cultural and social as well, and we find the ways to bring them out within the different technologies. For example, when we have cards, we would use just that's the technology. It's the paper, the card making technology, and we create those cards, and they have their own uniqueness. Okay, so I hope I didn't cut you off there too much, CA333.
No, I was just like basically like gonna add like in regards like to the tokens, just like as aforementioned, right? That they operate on other like coins, blockchain layer, right? Like such as Ethereum. A lot of people say that token interactions or like NFT operations, etc., happen like through smart contract, right? I wouldn't necessarily really like use this kind of almost ambiguous factors or stats, right, to define it, because again, like Colored Coin wasn't really utilizing, smart contract. We can say, okay, we're utilizing, this, the Bitcoin script, etc. But it was still like a bit different, right? And it's still, per definition,
I think that's
fully
where it
valid
is.
token,
Yeah, that
right?
makes sense. Like it is actually still one of those coins. It just has been colored and made more less fungible. So maybe into a non-fungible token, which we'll get into that in 1 second. But so I guess that becomes a difference between what kind of blockchain is it? Is it the kind that is like an Ethereum chain that has those token ability that you can write into it, versus like the Bitcoin type of chain that you mentioned, where the coin itself gets shifted into a token, per se. Any thoughts on that?
Gets like pegged like to the coin, right? Or like attached like to the coin, right? So you'd have a coin, you basically, be able like, to, set like the token like up on top of it, right? So I remember like the first colored coins. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Tala.
Well, that's similar to how Tokel tech works,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
I'm sure you're all over it. But basically, you use one UTXO of the Tokel coin, and then the chain, once you put it through the transaction, then the chain recognizes that as an individual NFT or token, however you see fit, and you can index, that token on the chain. You can search for it. It will forever be a token on the chain. So in the technical aspect, it is a coin. It is the Tokel coin, but just the way that it's being tracked gives you token likability. So we call them tokens.
Exactly. And by using the one UTXO, usually like on a Satoshi or Komodoshi level, you basically say, okay, we have like 100 million units per full coin. That turns it like a unit that's not further divisible, which many people also then use as a factor, right, to define what's like an NFT, non-divisible, unique, you know what I mean, as opposed to a fungible token, divisible, not unique. But still, that's why I said, right, I see like this line, the border between these two, not as strict as it was, let's say, like 5 years ago. Now we really will see like the line, the border between these two really like blurring, and going into, I mean, I can like code a coin, right, that's like not divisible anymore, but still like have it not without the unique identifier. If I send you only one UTXO, that UTXO, at the moment like it arrives to you, I mean, the UTXO reference itself makes it sort of unique, right? It's not further divisible, but it's still a coin I sent you, right? So this is like what I'm meaning, right? We're really gonna like see hybrid, in environments, and even like a hybrid, if you want to put it like data form, a data type or NFT type, NFT, token, coin, etc.
You're reminding me of a saying I've heard where they talk about tracking UTXOs. And before we get to the artists, I would like to hear again from Faithless and Remonster. But I just want you to repeat that you basically gave a good definition. It sounded like, for the difference between fungible and non-fungible tokens or coins. Can you just repeat that one again? CA333.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, like, what's the difference between the fungible and non-fungible tokens? You had mentioned divisible,
divisible, unique, right? Like operating on other, native like coins blockchain, right? Such as like like a Komodo or Ethereum or whatever, right? So these I think are like the main points. But again, really to just like highlight from my perspective that I see like the limit between these two becoming like more and more blurry. But according to the traditional definition, yes, this is like how we could like put it.
Thanks. It's good to know that these types of words are blurring their meaning, and the technology is taking it that direction. So I'm curious, Faith, what are you thinking from hearing about this? Does it get you confused? Does it make you interested? What happens for you when you hear about this stuff?
No, it resonates with my experience. I mean, as more people come in who understand less of the underlying technical points that CA333 is mentioning, it's going to get even more blurred. My guess is that as big companies move in, which we're already starting to see, that they're going to produce, their own coins on their own platforms that won't even be in the blockchain. So it's a really fertile time right now. We're going to just hang on to your hat.
I'm curious, like as you are working on your project, you're working on Pop Legends. Is it, what were some of the challenges that you face, or trade-offs other than the KYC? Like, did you have to think about it much, or did you know right away, I'm going to choose one photo for one NFT, and I'm going to use this many photos, and I'll have this many NFTs? Did you think about the difference between maybe making more than one photo into instead of a non-fungible token? Did you think about making tokens, or it was all NFTs right from the beginning?
Yeah, so I wanted to do NFTs right from the beginning. I really like the idea of digital ownership and how that benefits artists going forward. So that was really attractive to me. But I did play around with different platforms, and I ended up on Rarible. But actually, if I were to do it again, I'd be on SoulSea, because I think that's the future. I got so much pushback from music fans who said that what I was doing wasn't environmentally sound, that I just don't think that we're going to be able to withstand that kind of pushback from the general public going forward.
Interesting. So you're in direct relationship with a different kind of force that's going to be shaping the way that things go, it sounds like.
Yeah, outside of the little community on Discord, there's a big wide world out there that looks at what we're doing, and the first thing they think of is environmentally unfriendly, and part of that's the mainstream media's fault for not investigating the space a little more and finding out that there's lots of good minds working on that problem right now. But yeah, I mean, it's a big issue.
Interesting. Okay, so you have a collection going, and it's quite a unique collection. Is there anything else you wanted to say about that? I mean, it relates to Nirvana, to Kurt Cobain, to his 55th birthday. Is there anything else you want to say about that?
No, just that I think that the mainstream media that I got regarding this project was so intense that it shows that there's an intense curiosity on the part of the general public about what we're doing here. But that what's being offered right now isn't unfortunately celebrity oriented enough to get in the mainstream media. It's incredible when you strap a celebrity to your back how far you can go. And, I'm just being honest about that here, because this is a good Discord audience that knows what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Faith? Like,
Sure.
so your project was successful, right? The Nirvana
It was.
project. Right.
Yeah.
So prior to releasing this project, did you already have a following or some kind of standing in the art world?
No,
Like,
see, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yeah, no
that's
problem.
an excellent question. And no, I didn't. And that's what I'm telling you, is that it's amazing what you can do when you use the power of celebrity to propel you forward.
Right.
But not everybody can do that, obviously. So most people are going to have to rely on the wonderful and varied community on Discord to propel their projects forward.
I have a question along those lines. So when you were creating your project, what sort of things did you do along the way to get to that launch point?
Mm-hmm. Well, I really wanted to make this accessible for most people. So I tried a bunch of different credit card options, and that's when I was struggling with these KYC rules, and nothing really was perfect. That's how I ended up on Rarible. But again, SoulSea, since I started this 2 months ago, SoulSea has come out with, now they hooked up with MoonPay, and MoonPay is a little bit easier to use. So that's another reason I would have gone with them.
Fair enough. And then how do you, when you're explaining your project to people that aren't in the crypto space, how would you go about explaining it?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I've been asked that repeatedly by the mainstream media, and I eliminate the whole blockchain element of it when I describe it to ordinary people, which sounds like sacrilege to folks who have developed it and carefully put their lives into the smart contracts and the back end of this. But it's too complicated, and so I basically just say that it's like the fun of trading cards married with the seriousness of art collecting. And then I described that if you went to an art gallery, you would get a ledger of ownership all the way back to the original artist. and that now that the blockchain brings that online. And that's, it's simple, but it's true. So that's enough explanation for most people.
It seems to
Yeah.
be like a curious extension of fine art in a way, where
Yes.
suddenly a JPEG can have monetary value, whereas before it would just catch dust somewhere online and nobody would care about it. So
Exactly.
it's really interesting.
May I ask how much you made with your first NFT project? Really curious.
Well, I broke even on what I spent on marketing. So I spent a lot on getting a good publicist to get me out there in the mainstream media. So I spent about 20,000 and I made about 20,000. So I didn't make money, but it was my first attempt. So I think that's a success.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for providing the info.
I guess the the learning points that you would have gotten along the way and what you learnt through the experience would have been invaluable, and we're definitely starting to see that in the Tokel community at the moment with artists coming on board and utilizing what we've got to create collections or create NFTs, and asking questions in the Discord and asking questions in the community like, hey, how do I go about making a collection? What sort of things do I have to take into account? How do I build a following around it? What is the process? And we're definitely seeing the first bunch of people come through and ask all these questions and are trying to really position the platform in a way that we can fulfill all of those needs and make it as easy as possible. So, but from the learning experience point of view, like, it's really cool to see all of that. So I imagine that you would have learned a bunch of lessons along the way.
Absolutely. And I read a very interesting article. I'll try to find the link to it. It said that most NFTs that do sell, so you eliminate everyone that doesn't sell, most that do sell, the average sale price is $100.
Yeah, and it probably costs about the same if you're on the Ethereum blockchain too, eh?
Right? Exactly. Your gas fees are 100. That's going to really hold us back.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why a lot of people are looking for replacements for Ethereum when it comes to NFTs and tokens,
I
which
agree.
is again what the Tokel blockchain is trying to provide. So
it's wonderful.
there's a question here from the audience that says, how did NFTs make your work different compared to being a professional photographer as to now? So how has your work changed over the years, and how's NFTs changed that?
Well, NFTs sell better if there's movement involved. So as a still photographer, I wouldn't do a lot of GIFs if I was preparing those for a client. But GIFs sell better on as NFTs. So that's a definite change. And then also just bright colors, because they are usually displayed on a phone. You have to think about what's going to work on a phone. So it did change the art and how I would present it.
Wow, really great question. That's a great question. Thanks for asking. And that's a great answer. It's fascinating to hear from this perspective what you've gone through and some of these lessons that you're learning. And I'm just curious because you mentioned also about movement in terms of the actual art, and also there's something about the NFTs in terms of movement in terms of trading or exchanging them. And people are taking ownership with NFTs, but it's also because of what an NFT is. Like, yes, it can represent an image, but there's more to it that is coming out in terms of ownership, in terms of funding or community participation. And we talked about decentralized or autonomous organizations in the past. So, Faith, have you, as somebody also who's oriented not just as an artist, but also on a business side of things, how does the whole funding aspect and royalties, how does that influence you with what you're doing?
Yeah, well, the one thing I learned is the way to actually make a profit is probably going to be have some artificial intelligence involved in creating those different iterations, so that you've got the ones that are the most rare and the ones that aren't as rare. So it's a step up from traditional photography for sure. So I'd probably in the future use living subjects so that you can basically
Interesting.
tokenize them, and put an image of them that you've taken, maybe multiples of images, into AI and create something new. So there's been a lot of creative leaps with this. That's just really exciting.
Interesting you mentioned that. We did have that a guest on the recent show discussing about Pionauts, which has that type of aspect, is what you're reminding me of. What were you going to say there, Metallica?
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and I think it's something that creators in general are really trying to explore. Is my personal belief is that the NFT space is definitely growing beyond the artwork. So I think creators are having to come up with ways of engaging with their communities and their audiences and their holders to give them, a little bit more. So whether it's access to a website or access to purchasing something or access to a community, or if it, might give them earlier access to purchasing the next round of tokens that they do, or NFT, collection that they do. There's all these different incentive structures that are beyond just owning the underlying digital artwork, which I think is like super interesting to see where it's going. And it's been happening for quite a while. Like Bored Ape Yacht Club gave you access to a specific part of their website, for example. So just little bits and pieces like that. It's interesting to see where that's going. And I think based on what you just said, then it seems like you've already identified that that's a need if you're going to try and create an NFT collection that is going to be successful.
I agree. If you want to make a profit, that's the way to go. That's the next step.
Ramonster, I have a question for you. When you're creating your images and graphics and even artwork, have you considered using tokens or NFTs?
Well, I'm thinking about releasing my own collection. So yes, I am thinking about it. It's just a bit curious for me, because in my line of work, it's all about creating the highest quality art. And then you enter this NFT space and you realize that it's actually more about being witty than creating the highest possible quality, So for me, it's a kind of curious situation where I have to think way more about marketing and getting potentially a team on board, as opposed to just creating really high quality art, So it's just something that I'm warming up to, basically. But I'm definitely considering it and looking at other NFT collections.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge. I've listened to a lot of people that invest in NFT collections, and they definitely look for, the project, where it's going to go in the future, whether there'll be further collections, what interaction with the community that the project has, that sort of thing. I guess from your research along the way, have you considered whether you would use, fungible tokens or NFTs, and have you kind of decided along a particular path, and why?
Probably a combination, but I'm thinking I would definitely go for NFTs because I would want to have a collection where, different people can own the same card, so to say. So I think that's what would make it fun, basically, for more people. And I would be looking into creating really a collectible card deck of some kind. And most likely I wouldn't be using AI. So I've been looking a bit at concept artists in the game industry that have been successful NFT artists now, and they do create everything from scratch and unique. But the reason that they're so successful is just because, of course, they're making NFTs, so more people can buy them, and because they have already a large following. And that's something I don't have because I never posted much of my art. I have the experience, but I don't have the following. So I painted myself in a tight corner there, and I'm trying to figure out a way to market myself, basically.
I guess, Faith, do you have any suggestions for Ramonster?
I don't. I think being on Discord and talks like this are a great first start.
Yeah, but I mean, you hired marketing people, right?
I did. That was a shortcut.
That was a shortcut. Okay.
Yeah.
So have you also thought about like getting a team on board that would, get paid in royalties or something, as opposed to hiring like an official marketing team?
Hmm. I was surprised how many community managers there are that are located overseas that you can get pretty cheaply. And that is a good next step. Yes.
Okay.
Excellent. This is a great conversation. I'm so glad that we are listening to Faith West and Remonster. Nutella Lika is here, and CA333 you're also here. CA333, I'm just curious what you think about the whole situation with royalties, and for me, and just all like the programmability with the NFTs and the fungible tokens. So I'm just curious, like what you think about that, and is it the kind of decentralized finance for, I don't want to just call it art, but for tokens? Is it like a new level of DeFi here, or what do you think?
Kinda, right? I think, with, or yeah, I think with like in general, like if we look at metaverse, Web3 and all these things that basically revolutionizing, like the basis, foundation of our social structures and etc. Then I definitely do see this, having the potential to become, basically like the what money, right? The monetary basis and the physical world is like to our like traditional or to our like analog society model, right? Before it started this hardcore shift towards like the virtual world. And I really think these aren't just like like some tech tools, right? Like I think it's more. I think it's gonna become the underlying basis, foundation, really, like for the world of tomorrow, right? I think that's really like safe to assume, and that's a bet I would make, like definitely.
Well, that's
And
the
again, yeah,
that's Web3, right? Is that next generation of web technologies, and it's definitely going to be underpinned by NFTs and tokens. And I guess for people that have heard of Web3 but don't really know it, it's all about owning your own data, right? It's all
yeah,
about
absolutely, exactly.
taking
And
charge and having that ownership.
yeah, and I really think like one big item this is about is like identity, right? Like I think that's where like NFT is gonna play really a big role. What we see right now, it's like the beginnings of it, right? It's like totally hyped, and people super excited, etc. But it's like way more than we see just now, right? Like also like Juliana, you've been like touching base like on the aspect of the royalties, like these DAO structures, where you like earn passively from NFTs, etc. And again, this again really like highlights it's like power and the way it is even like partially replacing the monetary basis of our like foundation, the way like fiat money is working now, or even like digital centralized money, etc. Right? So yeah, definitely like super interesting and like a huge potential. And we again, I just like can't like repeat it enough. This is like the super beginnings, like the super early beginnings of this tech.
Amazing. It feels good to be here, and I hope you feel good to be here too, Faith. You too,
Oh,
Monster. Yeah.
yes, very much. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm curious. You had mentioned about the public. That there's a big wider world out there. In terms of NFTs and like CA333 is just highlighting the potential and the power of these tools and technologies. Where do you see artists, art, and then in part of art and artistry is also communication of ideas and ideals and things like that, and advocacy, activism. Where do you see that going? Where do you see the social aspect of this going?
Well, that's a really good question. It's almost like the fine art world has somewhat moved online. And so the same things that make a fine artist successful in real life are going to make them successful in the Web3 space. So just having relationships with your biggest fans and the ones who are going to keep buying again and again, these are things that never change about the art world. And I also think, though, that NFTs, to CA333's point about it being a big fad right now, in a way, in the public's mind, it'll die down and I think become just another thing that exists. And so for artists, it'll become just another vehicle to get their work out there, but not to minimize it, a powerful one.
Interesting. That is pretty fascinating, and I think too as well. You know what I'm curious if you are you're getting involved with the NFTs. We're very early. It just feels like an interesting time when there's a lot of potential out there, and people are going to be looking to use the technologies and the tools to move forward, to look for the places that are untouched yet. And I think it's just really interesting when I hear about your story. I'm listening to Ramonster talk about his perspective as well, and then we're listening to CA333 bring together a lot of background for us in terms of these tools. And I'm just fascinated. I'm floored. I'm almost speechless in some sense. And I really hope that everyone who's listening is getting a lot out of this. I don't have too much else to say. We're gonna out of curiosity, we're gonna check out if you have any favorite NFT projects. But I just want to make sure that any final discussion points are cleaned up, and anybody has any final thoughts or questions gets to air it right now.
I don't have anything else to say other than I'm interested to hear what everyone's favorite NFT projects are for sure, and kind of why, what interests them.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's do that then. Dream Tim, are you going to say something for a second?
I think that Christopher Solisby from YouTube, he asked an interesting question. He says, in the long term, what do you believe will be the most popular, the continued NFT token art side of things, or the addition of utility to an NFT, such as giving access to a club or different types of perks?
Good question.
Did he have an answer, or is it just an open question?
This is a question from YouTube.
So basically, can you just clarify the question again, Dream Tim? There was a comparison. Dream Tim, can we get a clarification on that question? It was like a comparing. Is it? What do you think is going to happen?
It says, in the long-term run, what do you believe will be the most popular, the continued NFT token art side of things, or the addition of utility to an NFT, such as giving access to a club or perks? I think the question is about,
good question.
Is it going to be about the art or about a membership?
Yes, added utility. Mm-hmm.
I think if you look at the Socios app, that will answer your question. It's a European app that has a lot of different football clubs and tokens from the football clubs on there. And my guess is that that's the somewhat dreary future of NFTs. I hate to say it that way, but I just like in the real world, there'll be a very cream of the crop group of people who are doing wonderful art, but then NFTs will be popularized in another direction to go along with more mainstream interests.
Yeah, I definitely think there's going to be a mixture of both in the area. Like in the space, there'll be the NFTs that give you access, and then there'll also be, very niche, specific, high quality art collections as well.
It actually reminds me. That was a great question. Thank you, and it reminds me of just the final point I was going to ask as well to Faith, because it was 1991, probably in a smoky room where the band was playing, could be Nirvana, with
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain, and you were taking a bunch of photos, and you, like you said, it wasn't a room full of phone cameras or even any other kind of cameras. You got these very special photos. I bet never in your mind did you think that all these years later you'd be digitizing them and making them into these NFTs. So yeah, what a fascinating ride, eh?
Yes, absolutely.
So I was curious because I was wondering what you think, actually back to that utility question about something like, imagine, going to that concert, but your ticket was a token, and I think that going back to what you said about like mainstream interests and mainstream incentives, I think that's where we might start getting things like tokens as tickets or NFTs as tickets, really, if you have a specific seat that you got to sit in, and that kind of thing. So it's a fascinating world that we are watching unfold right in front of us. And you're one of the people here making it happen. So we really appreciate you and the efforts, the work you're doing, the interest that you have in the bigger picture. Really, I know it's not just about the technology. You have I know there's a lot more to you and your story that we really didn't touch on today. And on some level, I'm a little bit sad about that because I know, but at the same time, we are really happy to have you on, and the same with all the other guests. Ramonster and CA333. We also really appreciate having you in. I think the question that we're going to end off with here is about the NFT projects you're interested in. So we'll line it up with Faith first. Faith, what are some NFT projects or an NFT project that you're interested in?
Well, I'm just an old hippie at heart, and so I love the crypto coven. That's gotten a lot of attention lately, and I just love the idea of a female-led collaborative making art in this space.
Very nice. What was the name of that one again?
It's called Crypto Coven, Coven.
Excellent. Nice.
I've put a link in the Discord.
Oh, thanks.
Go ahead, Ramonster.
So my favorite NFT collection is called Evolution from Ben Morrow. So I'm a veteran concept artist. He is a veteran concept artist, so I kind of gravitate towards my folk, But so he's on the Vive platform. He has his collection there, and it's really interesting. It's presented really well. So it's basically like each card is a video of a single painting, where you get where it zooms in for 30 seconds on different parts of the painting. And they're all aliens. So you have each card is one alien, and it's really detailed, really well done. I think he worked years on it. I think that's what he stated.
Wow.
Yeah. It took him a while.
What's the name of that one again?
He doesn't use the AI. What was
the
that?
Evolution.
Yeah,
Evolution.
it's Ben Morrow's Evolution on Vive.
Great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I like it also when Beeple came out, he had his illustrations, but he had this beautiful design around his illustrations with the barcode and the golden shimmers and all that stuff. The graphic design was really good, and Ben Morrow also incorporates that. So not only good art, but also that really chic kind of collector's card edge work, you know what I mean? Framework.
Fascinating. I would love to be able to see it through your perspective, through your eyes, because, like you mentioned, as a concept artist, you have a certain affiliation towards that art. So that's pretty cool. And go ahead, Ramonster.
No, I'm pretty much
complete.
Done.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And CA333, did you have any? I know you've got a lot of things on your plate. Have you checked anything out, or are you interested in any projects?
Yeah, to be honest, I got semi-infected with this NFT mania, right, a little bit. So I definitely think they will have like their fixed position, like within like the metaverse, the Web3, and I believe in this technology, right? I think it's something great. I still think there should be, like certain, boundaries and limits, right? Otherwise, we'll mess our species like completely up. But other than that, look, I'm interested in various NFT projects, right? I don't really want to mention specifics, maybe one or two, right? There's like NFT platforms that provide a royalty not just of the future sales and trades of the NFT that you hodl, but actually become part of like an NFT trading platform or a marketplace, right? So there's like one like these labs, Monkey from Monkey Labs, right? Who do distribute, certain percentages. It's almost like a security token, just like packed into like an NFT, right? I do like the idea, right? I don't want like to give financial advice. I don't want to be mistaken, for financial advice or something like that, right? But just like from an interest perspective, this really attracts me. I like these. There are a few others, right? So there's various NFT platforms. This one is not specifically on Solana. I think it's featured on SolSea as well as like Magic Eden. There's like various, like NFT projects that I also really do like on the Ethereum platform, right? There's like various, like monkeys without going into like the precise namings.
Yeah.
And then of course, like the upcoming like Cyber Komodo's NFT collection that's built on top of the Tokel platform. That's something that I almost I identify with. Of course, it's like stating as a nice like precedence on top of this technology stack, this new technology stack. That's like one specifically that I'm already interested in, and of course like the anti-NFT space, right? Like the vibrant communities, the crazy trolls, just like everything around it is like really super nice. And yeah, thank you for asking.
Yeah,
What's you?
for
Sorry.
answering.
What's your favorite like NFT? Do you hold NFTs yourself? Do you collect them? Do you have a collection maybe? If yes, which ones are your favorite ones?
Are you asking? Who are you asking me?
I'm asking you. Yeah.
Oh, to be fair, you had mentioned about NFTs and IDs, and in that sense, I would say I'm very much I like the Varus ID as NFT, and I still probably can't wrap my head around it, but I get the sense that that's something fascinating and unique in a certain way. So I'm curious about that. And in terms of I've been seeing just recently, I've just been seeing MFers going around, and I'm just curious. I find I don't have a favorite in that sense, but I'm just very curious sometimes about the art and the artistic aspects to it. And I've seen actually. You know what? One of my favorites are the it's what's it called? I think it's Ginger Design who does them, but they are some beautiful artworks that have been, I think they've been minted now, and on Tokel as well. If anybody knows specifically, you can clarify for me right now, but I really enjoyed looking at those ones too.
She Ginger Design makes this amigurumi. I think it's pronounced Japanese dolls with
Yes,
with some kind of material.
she did. Yeah, is that the one she made out of your Remonster, out of the
Yeah,
out of the Komodo Knights?
that was amazing. Like she made this Commodian or KMD knight into the wool puppets or whatever. It looked amazing.
Very nice. But anyway, I do believe somebody has been making some artwork as well on Tokel, and it's I wish I had more of a vocabulary to talk about it to describe the style or whatever. But
Crypty is minting NFTs on Tokel. It's
very
like
nice.
from Pirate, I think.
Yeah, it's great to see more and more activity, and I don't quite yet. I don't have any other favorites for myself, but yeah. Nutella, did you want to share any thoughts about that, or do you need to stay hush hush?
I mean, I like the Cyber Komodos. I'm really keen to see that go. I also like the Marco's collection, MACO. He's been doing some incredible, hand-drawn designs. And just to plug what he did recently, it was really cool. He actually had an NFT art exhibition in El Salvador, which was really cool to see. So if you're in our Discord, you can have a look at some of the videos that he posted. But basically, he had a bunch of TVs up, and along with some of his physical art, he had these NFT exhibits as well. So that was really cool to see. And he's got an absolutely amazing design element to what he creates. And I'm also a big fan of this artist recently called Rickley. She's a Bali-based drawer. I think she does drawings professionally, but anyway, I like the stuff that she's got. She does some GIFs, so where the image will be one thing, and then it'll transition slightly into something slightly different, and then it'll transition back. So I'm a big fan of her work as well. So I've posted links in our Discord of all of the different collections that have been mentioned here today as well.
Yeah, definitely loving the caricatures of Mako as well. I'm loving those faces. It like just draws me right in. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I love that little session there, and that's a great question to have as a return question for the guests. I think, and anybody have any feedback about that from the audience? Just throw that in the Discord. And we're gonna start wrapping up our conversation. We've had quite a great panel today. CA333, Ramonster, and Faith West of Pop Legends. We have Nutella here as well with us. And, I just would like to thank you all for being here on stage. CA333, thank you. Ramonster, thank you. Faith West, thank you.
Thank you.
As well, yeah, as well, Nutella Lika. Yeah, I mean, we really appreciate having you on. You asked some amazing questions, and I am so grateful to have you here today as well, sharing in this discussion. Of course, Dream Tim here is taking note of everything that's happening, and he's like the Tokel Santa Claus at this point. And yeah, you know what? I just really appreciate also the audience for being here, and whether you're watching it live or in the recorded version. We really appreciate you. Hopefully, this has been a discussion that has been fruitful for you, bring you something to think about. And other than that, we will be having also a next episode with, speaking of cyber komodos, how to create NFT collections with cyber komodos on the Tokel platform. So that's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks. And again, if you are interested in being a guest on the show, just go to the website, tokel.io/TokelTalk, and fill in the form to join Tokel Talk as a guest. Right. Well, we do have a little bit of Tokel news and info. Dream Tim, Nutella Lika, any things to share?
Yeah, just very quickly, we have been featured in a Cointelegraph article that also mentioned the Komodo platform in Atomic Dex and the Cyber Komodos collection. So that has been fantastic. We're anticipating the launch of Cyber Komodos on Tokel platform. So this is going to be a major NFT collection that we're going to have on. And we're also celebrating a growing community and a growing podcast. In our very little time, we had over 5,500 downloads. So thank you to everybody for listening and for participating in these talks.
Excellent. And of course, any feedback you have, we're always interested to hear it. And right. So just one more time, Faith West, where can we find out more about you and what you're doing?
Sure. So go to poplegends.com.
Thank you very much. And thanks again for being here today.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Wonderful. Ramonster, how about yourself?
You can find some of my work on artstation.com/Ramonster42. And the same handle is used across different platforms and so on.
Excellent. And if anybody wants to reach out to you for any work,
yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. All right. And also CA333, of course, so many of us know you from your work with Komodo platform. If anybody needs to get in touch with you with the work that you're doing, what's the best way to do that? Discord?
So we have Discord, Twitter, of course, 0xCA333, and also feel free to drop me a mail, right? I'm CA333 on pretty much like all platforms, Keybase, Discord, CA333 at komodoplatform.com. And yeah, really, happy to assist you with any kind of questions and also to have just a chat. Thanks.
Very nice. And we hope to have you on again in the future. And
Would be a pleasure.
As well, yeah. As well, Ramonster, you're welcome back anytime. Faith West as well. If you're doing anything and you want to reach out to us, we'd love to have you on as well. You've been wonderful here today. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. And of course, we also have Cax, who's running the stream. And so, Cax, we really appreciate you very much for behind the scenes. And we are ready to exit today's show. Once again, thanks everyone for listening. It's been a fantastic talk with Faith West from Pop Legends. We've got Ramonster here. We've also got CA333. And I'm Giuliano on behalf of Nutella and Dream Team for the Tokel platform. Until next time, goodbye. We'll be talking with Cyber Komodos.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.